Welcome back coders, my name is Aditya and let's continue with the series on Python. Till now we have seen some operations on integers as well as on strings, and we have seen that how can we store values in a variable. In this video we will see that what is a list in Python and how can we use a list. So let's get started. We know that what is a variable, but what does a list means? Well, you can imagine a list as a big container which has a number of small containers inside it. So we can use a big container to store multiple values inside it. So let's see that how can we use list. Let's try to create a list. Let's say I want the name of the list to be my list, and now to create a list we have to use the equal to symbol and then square brackets. Now to enter values inside this list we have to write the values inside the square brackets. So let's say I want the values to be 2, 5, 8, 12, 45, 3. So these are the values which I want to be inside my list. So when I will press enter and when I will say my list and enter, then this will give me all the values which are inside my list. But what if I want to fetch only one value? Let's say I want to fetch the second value, which is 5 here. So what can I do? I can do one thing. I can say my list and then square brackets after my list, and then inside this square bracket I have to put the index number or the serial number of the value which I wanted from the list. Well, you can imagine the list as a set of boxes and each box has a unique number, and the number starts from 0 and then 1 and then 2 and then 3 and continue. So if I want the value 5 which is at the second position, I will have to say 1 because the list index starts with 0, means the first character or the first value will have the index 0 and the second value will have the index 1. So if I want to get 5, I will have to say my list at the index 1, and when I will press enter it says 5, which is the second value of our list. Let's say I want to fetch the fourth value which is 12, so I have to say my list at 3, and when I will press enter it says 12, which is the fourth value. As I have told you, the list index starts with 0, that's why I have written 3 there to get the fourth value. Now let's say I have said my list at 7, but I don't have a 8th value there. Then what do you think it will do? And when I will press enter it gives me an error and it says list index out of range, and which is true. So if we will pass index which is not available or our list is not that lengthy, then it will throw out an error. Now as we have seen, we can pass index numbers. Let's try for negative numbers. Let's say my list at -1. So what do you think it will do? When I will press enter it says 3, but 3 is the last value. And yes, what it does, this is known as negative range, means if we want the last value of our list we will say -1, and in the same way if I want the second last value of our list we can say -2, and when I will press enter it says 45, which is the second last value. And if I want the first value using this negative symbol in this index number, then I have to say not here, I have to say my list at -6, and when I will press enter it says 2, which is the first value, means we can either use these positive index or we can use negative index. And keep in mind that these positive indexes start from the leftmost side of our list and these negative indexes start from the rightmost side of our list. Now I can fetch each value from my list, but what if I want a set of values from my list, not the full list but a set of values. Let's say I want the values from second position to the fourth position, which are 5, 8 and 12. So for that what can I do? For that we can say my list at, and here we can pass 1:4, and when I will press enter it says 5, 8, 12, and that's what we wanted. But what does this 1:4 means? You see, when we add the colon, it takes two indexes, one at the left of the colon and 1 at the right of the colon. So the index at the left of the colon means from where to start. So we have said 1 colon 4 there means to start from 1 where it does, which is 5, which is at the index 1. But it has ended at the third index, which is 12. And yes, what it does not include the last index, which is 4. It will only fetch the values from 1 to 3, and it will not include 4. What if I want to fetch the values from 1 to 4? Then I will have to say my list at starts from 1 till 5, and when I will press enter it says 5, 8, 12, 45. We have started from the index 1 and ended at the index 4. Now let's say I want to print all the values starting from 8 and till the end of this list. Then what can I do? I can say my list and then I can say 2 colon and space and this bracket close. Now what it will do? We have given the starting index, which is 2, means we are telling the interpreter to start from 2, but we are not telling it where to end. So what the interpreter will do, it will give us the values till the end of this list. So when I will press enter, it says 8, 12, 45 and 3, which is from 8, starting from 8 and ending at the last of the list. And in the same way, we can do the reverse of this. Means I can say my list at space colon and then I can say 4. So what will it do? It will start from the starting of this list and it will fetch the values till the third index. As we have already discussed, it will not include the second index. So when I will press enter, it will say 2, 5, 8 and 12. Means it has started from the starting of the list and it has continued till the fourth index, not the fourth index, it has continued till the third index, which is 12. Means if we leave the space after the colon, what it will do, it will fetch the values till the end of the list. And if we leave the space before the colon, what it will do, it will start fetching values from the start of the list and it will fetch till second index. Till now we have only worked with the values that our list already has. But what if I want to add the value in my list? Then for that we have special list functions. So let's say I want to add a value in my list. So what I can say my list dot append. So what does this dot append means after my list? So this dot append is referring to a special functionality of my list. So what this functionality will do? This functionality will add a value to my list, which I will define inside these round brackets. So let's say I want to add 27 to my list, and when I will press enter, there is no error. And now when I will fetch my list, let's say my list, and when I will press enter, it says all the previous values and then 27 at the last. Means this mylist.append 27 has added 27 into my list. Means it's working. Now let's say I don't want to add 27 at the end of the list. I want to add a value after this 5. So for that we have a different function of this mylist. So for that what I will say mylist dot, instead of saying append, I will say insert and then round brackets. So what does this insert will do? It will insert our value at whatever the index we will define. So I want the value to be at the second index because 5 is the first index and I want the value to be at the second index where 8 currently is. So I will say I want my value to be at the index 2 and I will have to define the value itself. So I will say a comma and I want the value to be, let's say, 6. And when I will press enter, there is no error. And now when I will fetch my list, let's say my list, and when I will press enter, it says 2, 5, 6, 8, 12, 45, 3 and 27. And it has added 6 between 5 and 8. It has not deleted 8. It has added 6 in between both of them. Means we can also add values in between the numbers. We have added values. Can we remove values also? So for removing the values from a list, we have a different functionality. So let's say to remove a value, let's say mylist.remove, very straightforward name, and then curly braces, and inside these brackets I will define the value to remove. Let's say I want to remove this 8, so I will say 8 here. So what this mylist.remove and in brackets 8 will do, it will search for 8 in my list and it will remove 8, and when I will press enter, there's nothing. And now when I will fetch my list, let's say my list and enter, see, there is no 8. The 8 has gone because we have removed 8 from our list. Let's say what if we have a past number which is not present in the list. Let's try. Let's say mylist.remove 9, and we know that 9 is not in our list, and when I will press enter, it will give us an error and it says X not in list, which is true. 9 is not in our list. Now let's say I want to remove a value from our list, but I don't know what the value is. I know its index, but I don't know the value. So for that, we can use a different function of this list. I can say mylist.pop, and then inside these brackets, I will have to define the index which I have to remove. So let's say I want to remove that 6, which is at the index 2. So I will say mylist.pop and then brackets 2, and when I will press enter, it says 6. It returns a 6 because it is telling us that okay, I have removed 6 from this list. And now when I will say my list and press enter, see, the 6 is gone because it was at the index 2, and using this mylist.pop we have removed the element at the second index. So yeah, we can add values and we can remove values, and we can fetch the values of our list in different ways. As we have seen, we can fetch a range, we can fetch particular values using positive indexes and negative indexes. Let me show you some special functions. Let's say I want to find the minimum value from my list. So for that, I will say min and then brackets, and inside that min, I will pass my list. So I will say my list. So what this will do, this will give me the minimum value which is present in my list, and when I will press enter, it says 2, which is the minimum value present in my list. Can we try this for max also? Let's say max and brackets, and inside brackets I will say my list, and when I will press enter, it says 45, which is the maximum value in my list. So yeah, we can also fetch the maximum and minimum values from our list. Let me show you one more function. I will say sum and then in brackets I will say my list. So what do you think will it do? And when I will press enter, it says 94, which is the total of all the values inside my list, which is 94. Means we can also find the addition of all the values of our list. Now let me tell you about one more function, which is len and curly braces, and inside this len I will say my list. So what this len will do, this len will return us the number of values our list has, and when I will press enter, it gives us 6. Means our list has 6 values, which are 2, 5, 12, 45, 3 and 27. So yeah, we can do all those things in our list. Till now we have only added numbers inside our list. Can we also add strings? Let's try. Let's say new list equals and then square brackets, and inside the square brackets I will say hello, and the second value let's say YouTube, and third value let's say video, and let me give an integer also, let's say 5. And yes, we can also have different type of values inside a single list. And let's press enter, there is no error. When I will try to fetch the value of new list and press enter, it gives me all the values, hello, YouTube, video, and we have this integer 5. But there is one problem. We cannot perform all the operations, or we can say the functionalities of list inside this list. When I will say some new list and press enter, it gives me a error. So yeah, this is it for this video. So if you enjoyed learning in this video, then go and like the video, and don't forget to subscribe the channel and to share this series with your friends so that they can also learn programming for free.